Good afternoon, Z, with our weekly PegNet update. It is March 25th, and I'm joined with David Johnston.
Hey, how's it going, kid?
Hey, elbow bump, quarantine style.
Yep.
All right, so I know I'm generally enthusiastic every week. And it's been a really turbulent, head-spinning, whiplash kind of hour by hour, day by day kind of week past week. In a lot of ways, it's difficult watching what's happening and the impacts that is happening for others. If we're going to stay on topic of cryptocurrency and PegNet, I'm really excited. I'm very, very excited about all of the new information that is now becoming much more popularized, that it seemed limited to just those in finance and cryptocurrency were aware about. And now all of these issues that we've been talking about for years in crypto are now starting to become more of the mainstream conversation, which I think is significant, it's important, and it's important just to the overall evolution and maturity and where we go as a global society in finance, right?
There's nothing like bank ATMs running out of cash that focuses people on the fragility of the current system, or the closing of all the bank branches, right? It just shows you, you're relying on sort of still physical infrastructure, right? And when that goes away, you really got to move to digital pretty quickly in order to keep doing life, keep running your business, keep sending money to employees, et cetera, right? So I think this could be an incredible trigger as all of a sudden people really see the need, right? It's not just like in the West, it's been sort of like a luxury, a nice to have, It was urgent for people in Argentina or Venezuela or, overseas where they saw a lot of inflation. But I think a lot of times Westerners are like, seems nice. But you get complacent in sort of your comfort, and this is putting us all outside of our normal comfort zones. And so, yeah, I think people are going to react by adopting crypto. We're also seeing massive printing by central banks, right? And this is going to devalue the dollar and all these other currencies. And so, yeah, I think people should be looking to this as a way of storing value. I mean, especially in the case of PegNet, we have pegged gold and pegged silver and these traditional sort of safe haven assets on chain. And even crypto has been doing really well the last few days. It seems like it sort of took the initial shock, and then people have been realizing that the reaction by the countries is going to just to be print tons of money, right? So it'll be interesting to see where the crypto markets go, but inside of PegNet, effectively, you can do whatever you need to do, right? If you want to be holding it in gold, probably a pretty good idea right now. And then you can flip it into whatever currency you need to pay somebody if you've got employees overseas or whatever. So yeah, no, it's a pretty incredible time, but I'm glad that we're positioned where we can hopefully speak to the economic side of this, because, there's not a lot I can do on the health side, but I feel like our community really can help people on the economic side. And that's going to be the longer lasting effect of this whole thing. After the disease has really sort of been wrestled to the ground, either with a vaccine or with treatments, we're all going to have to deal with the economic fallout. And, personally, I don't want to put myself in a position where, I'm relying on that old system anymore, right? I've been trying to move away from it for years. So yeah, no, that's a great point. I think we gotta be relevant and timely about, all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, David, about some of the functionality and that, pegged gold is part of the PegNet system. So I want to stay on that and actually go a little bit deeper for this week's update on that. Before anything, if you are new to this community and you're just getting to know who I am or David is, I'd like to take the opportunity to just introduce myself. I am not a financial expert. I am not, and so I'm not here to give financial advice. I have been full-time professionally working in cryptocurrency and by way of public relations and marketing, and I've worked with hundreds of different projects in this time. And so I can apply a lot of what I've learned about, financial economics and trends and some of the underlying technology and principles. That is what I can share insights on, but no financial advice. David can introduce himself probably better, but he also, David, you've done really well for yourself in cryptocurrency. You were in early with Bitcoin. You manage your own private family office and investments. But I don't know if you just want to give any kind of background on kind of the perspectives that you're able to bring into this conversation.
Sure, happy to do that. So been a lifelong entrepreneur ever since I was a kid, building tech companies in the dot-com days, late 90s, early 2000s. And, I took those experiences, and when I got into Bitcoin in 2012, that's sort of the context I've come from, is how to build startups in the crypto ecosystem. Actually, I just did a video on that yesterday, giving 33 practical tips to entrepreneurs that I've learned out throughout my entire career. So I really come at this first as an entrepreneur, and then thanks to the appreciation of Bitcoin, I was able to become an investor, right? First an angel investor, and then a venture capitalist, and then eventually have my own family office. And I am all in on DeFi, dApps, protocols. I don't do much equity investing at all. So, don't send me pitches for companies. Like, that's not what I do. Like it says right on the website, like all about blockchain and crypto. And because I think we have a new model here where these user-owned networks are much more compelling than companies that have big profit margins and corporate overhead and all of the rest, right? We're in the process of removing those intermediaries and middlemen from the system, right? So anyway, that's my context, and coming at this from an entrepreneur's view is I'm constantly thinking about what can I build next that will help people. And so bringing it back to PegNet, I think there's a couple of important pieces of infrastructure that are still rolling out for those that aren't super technical. There's now a GUI wallet that's available, graphical user interface, a website where you can go and use PegNet. But there's sort of more developed user interfaces coming out soon too. There's a wallet that's under testing. If you want to check it out, just message me on Discord. If you go to pegnet.org/chat, you'll get the link for the Discord, and you'll see me pretty actively in there. Shoot me a message or jump into the testing channel. There's a testing channel for wallets and bots and trading tools. And so if you want to check out the website for the wallet, the app that's getting rolled out, the trading tools, any of that, it's getting much, much easier to use PegNet for those that aren't jumping into command lines on a daily basis, like myself. And so, I really encourage people just to get involved and check out the tools. But yeah, a lot of those are shipping in this next week or so.
It's really exciting. And I think it's just kind of divine timing as well. I mean, we knew the reason the PegNet was originated and started developing in the first place was because of some of the problems that were identified, right? As with most entrepreneurial startups or projects, be them open source or not. And but with this, we're here now, and you've got governments all over the world, not just the United States, but of course, notably the United States, that are just printing. And I believe it was the Secretary of Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, or one of them, who'd mentioned there's an infinite supply of money. And it was like, wait a second, that's actually not good for the economy. Slow down, let's figure this out. And they're also, at the same time of this, they're also identifying, wait a second, there's all these people who are unbanked in the United States that we have to provide a stimulus check to be, even across the board with all of the citizens here. And so now they are quickly having much more advanced conversations about a digital dollar representation. So
Yep.
that's really interesting. And
Yeah,
PegNet wouldn't be more relevant to all of this.
exactly. In fact, it reminds me of what happened after 9/11. There was still a requirement in law back in 2001 for physical signatures. And one of the things that came out of that was the recognition that digital signatures, because so much of the physical signature stuff had been disrupted, especially with the closure of New York, that they said, okay, we need to pass laws recognizing digital signatures so that we don't have this fragility in the system for next time. So it's not surprising that now where we see, oh, wow, there's this real problem where we can't get money to the unbanked, that they're saying, oh, we need digital dollars, right? It's like, yes, we do. Welcome to the party. This is what we've been saying for a while. And this is what PegNet provides today, and that will be amazing once that's available, but it's gonna be a while before the feds can roll anything like that out. I know the Fed Now, which was the Fed's next implementation of their payment system, they're estimating 2023, I think. So at least 3 years, and that estimate's from like 2018 or 2019. Okay. So I don't know if that's been delayed or accelerated, but so in the meantime, these rails already exist for making payments, and there could be real problems. And one of the things that's pushing this is I think 90% of Fed wires are still done manually. And if people aren't at the banks to process them, what does that mean for wire times? Is it going to take a week? Is it going to take a month? I don't know. If there's a 90% reduction in capacity to do wires, that could be really, really disruptive, right? And so it goes back to, we have the technology now with blockchain to automate all of those functions, right? And so if people want to avoid those type of disruptions, crypto is really, really useful for that. And to your point about the disruption in the markets, what we've seen so far is PegNet has been incredibly resilient compared to MakerDAI or other protocols which are really depend on collateral or sort of have these vulnerabilities around the price of ETH when it declines. Not trying to disparage those guys, I respect what they're doing, but PegNet takes a fundamentally different approach, which is basing it on Oracle and creating consensus-based stablecoins, not on a reserve or collateral, right? And so I think that's really important. It's more than a theoretical difference, right? We've seen a very practical difference, which is pUSD was entirely unaffected by the price corrections, and it's been nicely keeping on at a good.
Yeah, it does. And I think, we were discussing right before we started this video, just the practicality of it. At the moment, what we have is a system that currently exists that, right now, perhaps this has existed before in terms of messaging from the government and the FDIC, but it was the first time that I saw something like this, of a video that just happened to come out now that's saying, oh, keep your money in the banks with the FDIC and not under the mattress. And nothing, maybe it was just me, but nothing made me want to pull my money out of the bank faster than that message coming from the FDIC. Yeah. But where PegNet is relevant is, okay, so now I have options. Options exist, okay? What if I'm working on the supply chain and I have to get payments to, another border, perhaps to India, that's on complete lockdown of 1.8 billion people right now. In PegNet, I can send them pegged Indian rupee in their own denomination. Or if I don't want to hold on to the US dollar because I believe that we're going to be experiencing hyperinflation and it's going to devalue my holdings in dollars, I can very frictionlessly move my value into pegged gold or another. And these oracles and these miners, these proof of work miners that are reporting these oracle prices, that's 24/7, 365. You know, there is not a central point of failure for that system to go down.
Right.
It's not to say it's not possible ever to happen in crazy things, but at the moment you've got, David, I don't know what the calculation was, but it was like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of miners that are working at any given moment to record price data on these.
That's right. You've got, at this point, given the hash rate, probably a couple 100,000 machines securing the PegNet. And, you know, so you've got a lot of hash power. You also have people focused on making sure the data is accurate, whether it's the data aggregators that the miners are pulling from or the exchanges. There's sort of just a lot of layers. In fact, I'm writing an article right now on sort of how you de-risk and further de-risk oracles for these type of systems. Like miners are the last line of defense, but there's other things that we can see and that we can encourage the community to do to make sure prices from the oracles are accurate, reliable, timely, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, I think just constantly thinking about how we can make these systems more robust is huge, right? And it's a gift that open source has, is we can iterate so quickly. Whenever we hit a hurdle, it's like, okay, you know, now it's clear we need to do X, Y, and Z in order to make it even more robust, right? So that's the thing that's always amazed me about first the Bitcoin community. I remember when Gox collapsed in 2013, right? It was extremely discouraging. 80% of all trading was happening on Mt. Gox, but people didn't lose heart. What they immediately did was set out to build new exchanges that had better security. Some people started building non-custodial exchanges. You know, people basically said, okay, let's rebuild from the ground up. And what we've ended up with is a much more robust ecosystem of hundreds, probably at this point, thousands of different regional and small exchanges. There's not a single dominant player that if they get hacked, like the whole industry is taken down. There isn't that point of failure anymore. I mean, there's still exchange hacks, but it doesn't have that systematic level risk that it did back in 2013. And so I think we'll get to the same point with DeFi. Is we've seen these problems that people have run into. PegNet is here to provide decentralized oracles, for example. If people are having problems with centralized oracles, please check out PegNet. The API is available right now for fully decentralized oracles that are secured by a huge number of miners, right? That's a solution we can provide to the community, which is really great. And, you know, if people are having problems with these collateral-based systems, you know, by all means, check out what we're doing with Oracle and consensus-based ones. So, you know, I think that's important to just keep bringing up and up is, yes, problems happen, and here the communities come up with solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're even seeing that in the medical world right now with how fast communication is happening. When research would have normally taken, what I've read, 2 years to, you know, map out the genome of this virus, they've been able to do that in a matter of weeks now. And if you look at St. Jude as a modern day example as well, where it's all open source research, and that facilitates much more fast acting responses, improved iterations, and that's exactly where cryptocurrency is at. It is open and it is collaborative. And speaking of collaborative, I mean, there's a number of integrations that are taking place that we've touched on. Uniswap is live, Chainlink, Kyber network, and it's just constantly plugging into each other and creating this like really strong ecosystem, you know, for the common good.
Honestly, I think we're going to see an amazing response from the innovation and entrepreneurial community. My friend Marshall has been working on an open source face mask, one that can be 3D printed by any of the 3D printers, right? And so as the hospitals have started running short, like he's literally across the street from the hospital, that's where his home is. And so, you know, he's working with hundreds of other 3D printers and here are the design guys. Here's what we need to produce. Here's how they're assembled. Let's get these rolled out. So, cool to see those efforts really addressing in real time these, kind of crisis moments. So it's great to see everybody pulling together.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what PegNet's all about, is pulling all of these different denominations, all of these assets, and pulling it all together where we can all function, in a cohesive approach that is decentralized, that gives you freedom to move about with your values and not have to worry about if you want to put your money under.
Yeah, and I think worth exactly. I think it's worth highlighting that people are, right? So today, PegNet is at $63 million in conversion volumes in the last 24 hours. So people are seriously using the platform to balance their portfolios, to exchange value. The whole conversions since launch is now $728 million. So it's amazing to see how that's accelerated. And we're starting to see the total PegNet market cap just about to cross $5 million. So, I think that's great proof that what we've done is really providing, this community is built is providing value to traders today. And so it'll be really interesting to see what the numbers are in the coming weeks and months as the tools just get easier and easier, and you can onboard, instead of dozens of traders, hundreds or thousands of traders into the ecosystem.
Absolutely. If those who are watching this video have watched to this point, I think this is a great time to really put out a call to action. I mean, if you're excited and you want to be a part of something that is much bigger than any one of us, and to build something that is meaningful, the community invites you with open arms, as with all early stage projects, businesses. There's never a shortage of things that can be addressed. And so if you have talents in design thinking or in marketing, or if you have relationships with exchanges or DeFi groups or journalists, whatever, developers, I'm speaking more on the marketing side because that's what I'm close to, but I just really invite people to come in at the very least. If there's nothing else that you feel that you want to or can contribute, but you're excited about PegNet, share, tell somebody about it. Yep. Encourage them to look at it. That's it.
If you make memes. Like all people are welcome, right? And so, there's actually some funny memes being posted on the Discord right now. We're going to have to, tweet some of those out and get them outside of the Discord bubble. But it's pretty funny stuff. And that just memes are great because it just gets across complex ideas in a really simple, easy, funny way, right? That's what makes them interesting.
Absolutely.
So put funny memes in there. We will donate you some peg for your funny memes, right? So, that's awesome. Like, I love, what they do with the Raven community. It's like, we are all Raven. It's like, we are all PegNet. Like, this is a community project. There's no foundation. Like, this is based on people's passion and interests. So get involved and spread the word. So
yeah, we had if you weren't a part of it, we had a virtual meetup, and these will be happening more and more, of course, now with everything, the way things are going. So we had our first virtual meetup maybe 2 weeks ago, and Adam Mistrelli from the community had a little unicorn that he was bringing onto the screen. It was really funny. And then we thought about like a pegacorn and then a Pegasus, and just these different ideas of let's have a mascot. And I just want to show the community. Here's a submission. I don't know if you can see that, right? But
yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty hysterical. You've got this jacked, tatted up with the PegNet logo, Pegasus with the wings coming in, like time to reset some things, right?
Yeah. No, that guy means business. That's for sure. So yeah, that should definitely be our mascot, and people can make different variations.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, have fun. Anyway, we're all about it. Join us, share the good word about PegNet. It's divine timing, in my opinion, for what PegNet's values stand for and how it's providing options that didn't exist for people.
Yep, absolutely. Cool.
Important options. So anyway, hope everyone is safe. Hope everyone is staying home and quarantining during this time, and we'll get through it together. And until next week,
Yep.
see you guys.
I've been saying, be kind to one another, wash your hands, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, be kind.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.